Do you ever get damage to your favorite trees or shrubs from mice or rabbits? Let me give you 4 tips on how to deflect attention away from your favorite trees or shrubs. That's what we're looking at this week.
Shrubs that are nitrogen fixing, trees that are nitrogen fixing. And this is something that, boy, the rabbit really seems to enjoy. Eating some of that, a lot of buds, a lot of stems. So you see what happens is, here's a gumi, and right next to it is an aronia berry. Aronia is a nice medicinal berry that you can use, but there's nothing. Oh, here's one little bud gone. There's a couple of, it's right next to this gumi, and yet the gumi is the one that's taken the brunt of the damage so far. So nitrogen fixing plants, because they do fix nitrogen, they tend to be higher in protein, and at a time when protein may not be that readily available, they do like. So they love these, they love fruit trees, and then there's a degree of how much they like the other things. Just realize that there is a preference in their food choices. Leaving a few fruit under a tree is also a good strategy to deflect their attention away from the trunk. See this tree here? There's no damage visible. Well, why would they bother with the trunk when they have a few fruit lying around? And most all of them have been nibbled already. So that is not the best for pests, because you encourage some of the pests to have their cycle completed, but leaving a few fruit is also a good way to deflect attention away from that trunk. A third way to reduce the damage is a design and maintenance trick. And I learned this one from Sepp Holzer. And he said, if you don't leave food for the voles, then they will eat your trunk. And it makes so much sense in hindsight. So here, this is a very low branch. So normally in an orchard, you would say, no, that you should cut it off because it's too low to the ground. Normally, yes. I like to leave 1 or 2 low branches. And in this case, this is a rootstock. So it's not the apple tree itself. But they ate there. And then they ate that second low branch. But they also ate the trunk here. That's fresh. That's being eaten kind of every couple days. So if you don't have low branches, they'll go right for the trunk. And that depends on the pressure. Here there's quite a bit of pressure right now. There isn't as much other food available, so they will eat. They may even eat all this trunk before winter. Here's the rabbit damage. And where did it damage? It damaged the lower branches. So that's a good reason why keeping the lower branches is key. So one way, knowing that there is damage, I could just leave it and just suffer the consequences, or I could come in, and this is a fourth way you could reduce damage, is what I said in the beginning. If you can't beat them, feed them. So what I'll be doing is coming in and pruning some of these honey locusts, especially the top branches, and I'll just lay them down where I see damage, and leaving a few branches that will be, one, touching the ground for the voles, but also above the ground for the rabbits, because the rabbits are also in here. And that will be something that will deflect their attention. So I can't beat them this year. There's going to be a lot of voles. In fact, look at that. They ate all the seeds out of those honey locust pods. That's the voles. Look at there, here, and there. So these are good signs, good indicators that there's some more, that there is pressure in here. There is a good vole population, and they need food, and this is still early in the winter. So if we get a foot or 2 feet of snow over here, they will have a heyday under the snow, feeding on everything that's available. So yes, they'll eat the seed pods, they'll eat the seeds rather, not the pods, and they will be eating some of the bark of some of these trees. But if I put branches and some of these bigger honey locusts, if I put these branches down, then that will attract their attention preferentially. They'll go for that first. So that's what you do. If you want to feed them in a way that you go, what would they like most? And give them that. And the nice thing about this is a little bit too early in the season to be pruning the fruit trees, but it's not a problem to prune the nitrogen fixers. And that's one of the advantages of the permaculture orchard, is we have these trees that are not fruit trees, although we grow grapes and kiwi up them, but we don't need that many branches on them. So we can take some of these branches, and now is a great time to have them available, and lay them down, and in the spring we'll collect them. I'll show you later in the season how much of these branches will have gotten eaten, and that really just depends on the pressure. There's a couple of branches I just pruned off, leaving them in the row so that they can be touching the ground. There's lots of branches available now on that, some lower, some higher. Do the same for this one. And then I'll just come back in the spring, collect these. And now the trick is to leave the aisles have access, and those hopefully will be girdled instead of the fruit trees. Girdling, that's the word, girdling. Here's a younger pear tree, and see the damage there? So I don't see any branches pruned and left around here. Oh, there's one in that next row. But basically, if you have younger trees or regrowth, you do want to have some branches around here just to deflect that attention away from these small, especially the trunk. Here, I see the tip of that was eaten off because that's within reach of a rabbit. But don't want to leave too much young bark like that exposed and available to the rabbits. Intrigued? Check out the virtual tour of the permaculture orchard. Have trees already? Pruningcourse.com. Subscribe, please. Check out some of the other videos or playlists. There's more to come. Stay tuned. You know, if you can't beat 'em, feed 'em. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.